Episode 83, Mr. Klopp, two middle-aged men in Cleveland, rocking and rolling. 83.
Ricky,
I think of Ricky Feature.
Ricky double feature.
Name?
Yeah.
Love
that guy.
Well, 2 weeks have gone, and now we're back together.
Yeah.
It's been an interesting 2 weeks for myself. A lot of things to talk about throughout the podcast, places I've been. I have some wonderful, you can really buy this week, but I want to go on a little bit of a different tangent. Didn't give you an update on this. City of Cleveland now has a new mayor, Mayor Bibb. He's doing some great things throughout the city. He got to play in the celebrity basketball game over All-Star Weekend, which was cool. I know that he's been focused on how we snowplow in the city, which I think is great. I think a lot of people are very positive on what he's brought to the city and what he's doing and all that stuff. I have one recommendation.
Just one?
Just one.
Okay.
Change the parking meters in town. Change them.
Change them.
Change them to letting them be credit card accessible. That people have to pay with a credit card.
Yeah.
I sit here today, as I am on location, looking outside of a window of two parking meters, where if I want to use them, I have to put in quarters.
Yeah.
This is like this all throughout the city, unless you go to an ABM lot or a few other lots where you can pay by credit card.
What is this?
I asked Mayor Bibb as one of the things that he can do to find a different way to increase income in the city, change the parking meters sometime soon. That's my rant for the day, Ted.
Okay.
That's all I got.
Well, now you mentioned that he played in the celebrity basketball thing at the All-Star game. You went to the event at the public hall. Tell us about that.
Yeah, that was cool. It was basically kind of a fan fest. So they had a bunch of different memorabilia and then a lot of interactive things. It was geared towards kids. They had an opportunity. You could shoot baskets on a court. You could take pictures with the championship trophy. You could take pictures with this really cool art mural that they had that had all the Cleveland All-Stars from throughout the years. Larry Nance, Nate Thurman, obviously, Austin Carr, Mark Price. It was cool. So you
Larry Nance.
Larry Nance, 4-3. Yeah, it was just neat. And I didn't know Public Hall. I mean, this is how much I know. I didn't know Public Hall had 2 floors, by the way. Do you know that?
Well, they got the basement and then there's the main floor and then there's the upper deck of seats.
I was never in the basement.
Oh, okay.
Never.
Yeah.
Never. Yeah. So it was cool. They had free autographs. So Isaac Okoro was there. When I was there, Evan Mobley was there. Colin Sexton was there. They had some of the mascots running around. I mean, it was cool. It was very well attended. There's no doubt about that. It was easy to get in, easy to get out, to be honest with you. We got through everything in 2 hours. We ended up buying a basketball just to kind of remember the day and all that. But it was fun. I think the whole festivities and the way Cleveland was portrayed, from obviously All-Star Weekend, the slam dunk 3-point contest, the rookies game. They had a all-black college basketball game where Howard played at the CSU convocation. How they put all that together, I think everything was very well done, in my opinion. Really good. It made a lot of money for the city, for sure. So,
well, last week when we talked to John Grabowski, we talked about Public Hall, and it is interesting. A lot of folks, everybody just thinks it's just the main floor, and there's a lot more to that building than just the main floor. So yeah. Neat building, and sounds like you had a good time at a neat event.
It was fun. And, how blessed are we that we had the draft here last year. And then this year, obviously, we have the All-Star game. And then we had the MLB All-Star game not too long ago as well. So, I mean, a lot of cities never have any of those events. So we've had all 3. So that's pretty cool. And once again, they only allow you to do that because you put on a great show. You're a great host, and hats off to all the people in Cleveland for doing that.
And now if we could get the streets plowed, we'd be all set.
Streets plowed and parking meters.
Parking meters.
For extra money.
All right. Well, coming up on this week's show, what do a birth and a palindrome have in common? We have the answer. Ken is out and about again. We're going to tell you what he's been up to. Did Cleveland have the first traffic signal? We're going to try to answer that in our Cleveland history segment. And we will visit with Mark Hamer. He is the creative director for a local production company, has a new movie out starring a former Browns running back. We've got that and much more coming up.
Ted, time for your favorite segment. You can really buy this. I wanted to do something special because of the All-Star game, and you deserve more just because of the person that you are. So
Thank you.
You can really buy this. It's not one, but has two segments to it. I thought you'd really enjoy that.
Okay.
So the first one has to go back to the All-Star weekend. As everybody know about the All-Star game, and they had festivities on Friday and Saturday, and obviously the game on Sunday. A lot of things going on around town. You certainly had fashion shows hosted by LeBron James's mom. You had numerous parties throughout Cleveland. You had a big dinner just outside the Flats with Rick Ross, the artist, Dwayne Wade and LeBron James, host of different things. Machine Gun Kelly was seen running around with Megan Fox as they were in the Flats as well. But I wanted to talk about one event, and it happened in a place that you and I know very well. The place is called the Galleria. Remember the Galleria? Well, I did some research, and I've heard from a couple different friends, and I've heard this, I would say, for the past 2 weeks. Did you know that the Galleria on All-Star Weekend hosted a concert? Did you know this?
Well, no, I didn't know this, but dare I say they probably had room for it?
They had plenty of room for it. Now, the performers in this were Little Baby and Gunna, and I've heard their music before. Great artists.
Who was it?
It's Little Baby and Gunna. Get on Spotify, man. They're on.
Okay.
You can listen to them.
We're on Spotify.
We are on Spotify. Yeah. We're on the same platform as Little Baby and Gunna.
There's now I feel like
I don't know if they're listening to our stuff or we're listening to them. So maybe we could find a way for them to do that.
All right.
I digress. So this concert that happened at the Galleria, the doors opened at 9 p.m. and the concert lasted till 4 in the morning. Okay? Yep, 4 in the morning. Obviously limited tickets. Early arrival was recommended. There was a dress code. Hats, and ball caps, and shorts and baggy clothing were not allowed. You had to have a collared shirt on, all this other stuff. The stage, you're going to just find this amazing. The stage was put in the area of the food court.
Did they use the Let's Make a Deal drapes for the?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So
was Carol Merrill there to open the curtains for him?
Yep.
Okay.
So you could buy tickets. Okay. So I did the research on tickets, thinking, all right, I didn't have a chance to go to the event. I'd spend time with my kids and all that stuff. So I'm like, all right, what would have been the cost to go to something like this? If you just wanted an individual ticket to the concert, individual ticket, $6,900.
I'm sorry. I thought I could have sworn I heard you say you started that number with 6,000.
That's correct. $6,000.
Okay.
Now, if you want to step it up a little bit more and get yourself a VIP ticket, which obviously would be a meet and greet,
with
you're going to have to pull out $10,000. 10 grand.
Oh my God.
To see Little Baby and Gunna. And by the way, I imagine you probably got some marijuana as well, because rumor on the street is that the Galleria, after this event was done, smelled like a ganja house.
Oh.
So there you go.
Oh.
So you missed out on that event, but don't you worry. I have another event for you to attend.
Oh,
this
good.
This one is not in Cleveland.
Oh.
So coming up on Saturday, if you're a sports fan, many people know that North Carolina is taking on Duke in their final regular season game at Cameron Indoor Stadium in Durham, North Carolina. This will be the final home regular season game for head coach Mike Krzyzewski. I'm not going to go through his resume. If you don't know
Yeah.
who Mike Krzyzewski is, you just need to do some research. Probably one of the greatest college basketball coaches ever. So, as many people would think, tickets for this event will be limited. So I'm like, you know what? I'll check this out. I'm not going to go, but I'd like to see what the cost would be if I was going to go to the last game where Mike Krzyzewski was coaching his final regular season.
Okay.
Well, the cheapest ticket I found was in row N in section 9, which, as you would think, is high up.
Yeah.
Cameron Indoor Field House isn't that big. I think it holds, I would say 10,000, 12,000 people, something like that.
Okay.
The price of that ticket is $2,893. So that ticket was actually more than what it would cost to go to the All-Star game. So the average cost for the All-Star game was $1,600. But I found the ticket for you, Ted.
Oh.
Right across on the other side of the court. This is once again in the upper area. It's section 1, row P. So you're all the way at the top. I guess you're in the area where the players come out. I guess this is why such a, would be a coveted ticket. The ticket for this section right now on a third-party site, which is the only way you can get a ticket, $16,900.
Yikes.
$16,000 to go and watch a game between Duke and North Carolina. Obviously, a big game concerning it's Mike Krzyzewski's last game, but for $16,000, I can either go to that game or buy a new car.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking I might go with the car, to be honest.
Maybe
with you.
a year or
Hold on to
two
my
of college
cash
for
and-
your kids.
College for the kids.
Yeah.
Really, almost like a month vacation, I imagine I could do.
Jesus.
$16,000.
Okay. Wow.
So there you go. That's my research. You could really buy this. You could have went to a concert at the Galleria for $10,000 or get your money together. And this Saturday, go watch Mike Krzyzewski coach his last regular season game in Durham, North Carolina for $10,000. Ted, it's a lot of cash. But you know what? I know you could really buy this.
Misspeak of the week now, and I don't think it'll come as any surprise, given the state of affairs in the world at the moment, that President Biden has been speaking more and more, and thus the opportunity for a misspeak is greater. And wouldn't you know, he gave us one this past week. He held a virtual event on critical minerals. He also attempted to highlight his administration's ability to create jobs. This is what he had to say.
In my first year as president, we had the greatest year ever in job growth in American history. 6.6 million jobs. Faster economic growth the fastest in nearly 4 decades. And that's why America added 375 manufacturing jobs last year.
375 manufacturing jobs, Ken.
That's it. That's all they added.
We are leading the way, baby. 375 on the manufacturing.
Oh, poor Jim.
Is that impressive?
That's something, I'll tell you that.
That's
375, got it done.
I'm going to guess he dropped a word there, maybe like, I don't know, 1,000?
1,000, yeah. I'm
1,000?
thinking that's probably what
Yeah, yeah. Well, regardless, he left that out, and that is what created the misspeak of the week.
Blah, blah, blah.
Blah, blah, blah.
Blah, blah,
Blah, blah, blah.
Blah, blah, blah.
Blah, blah, blah.
Blah, blah, blah.
Our guest today is the creative director for a Cleveland-based production company that's made some interesting movies and some that have had some pretty big names, both locally and across the country. The name of the production company is Garage Creative Studios, and the creative director is Mark Hamer. So let's talk with Mark. And Mark, welcome to the show. We found out about you because of this latest movie that you've done called The Hunting, with a gentleman that Browns fans might recall, Peyton Hillis, former running back. My first question for you is, can you tell us how Peyton Hillis comes to be in a movie that you're producing.
Yeah, sure. Well, first of all, thanks for having me on the show. Really appreciate it, and love what you guys are doing too. So I'm excited to be here. So yeah, we're in Cleveland, kind of like service the Cleveland area in terms of all kinds of production work. And when we were putting this movie together, we wanted to staff it and cast it with as many people that have Cleveland roots as we possibly could. And then the role that Peyton actually plays, it's kind of this physically dominant type of character. And we thought when we were casting it, like this is an NFL player. This is someone that kind of has that presence. And so wanting to get people that had some significance within the Cleveland area, we looked at retired NFL players and retired Browns players. And through a mutual friend, we got in contact with Peyton, and we're really lucky to have him. I think he did a fantastic job.
Mark, I just think that's really cool. And the part that I really enjoy about this whole thing is not only Peyton Hillis, but all the cast and the crew is all from Cleveland. And then you shot this movie in Manaway, Ohio, which I actually know very well, right outside of Aurora. How did you choose Manaway as the location for the shoot, and what goes into the process when you decide where you're going to shoot and how long that takes?
Yeah, sure. That's a great question. And, in addition to wanting to have all, Cleveland crew and cast and all that kind of stuff, you have to do it here, right? You have to have like your locations here. And the story within the film actually takes place in small town America. So the way that it is scripted, it could be any small town in the United States. And so in doing that, you kind of start driving around and doing, location scouting in your own backyard. And, like I just happened to be driving through Manaway and kind of going down the main strip there that goes right through the center of town. And I just at first glance, I was like, this is it. This is everything that we had scripted. I stopped out there at Restoration 44 Coffee, that coffee shop that's on the corner, and walked in, and they were really receptive and really nice and friendly. And, I sat out on the patio and just looked around town, and it just kind of had this really cool look to it. And so that's kind of like the easy answer of how we got there. But there were many steps before that. There was other parts that we looked at and they were great, but logistically things didn't work, or, there were stipulations that we could only do some things in the town, but not all the things that we needed to do. And when we got to Manaway, we get some introductions to the mayor and the police chief, and they even walked me around town and give me a tour of everything, and I showed them the locations that we needed and the sets that we needed, and they were just really amazing. And so it was kind of a no-brainer to shoot it there.
Let's talk a little bit about Garage Creative Studios. I know you're based in Brecksville. Tell us a little bit about the studio and how it got started.
Yeah, sure. So we are a motion picture studio that pretty much handles anything from feature films like we're talking about here, all the way down to 30-second commercials that you see on TV. And historically, we have been a commercial production company, meaning that we did 30-second commercials. Well, in the past, like 10, 15 years, the market has really changed to the entertainment side of things for us. And so, we started doing more and more entertainment pieces of work. And to now we're doing a lot of features, was where this one that we're talking about today came into place. But yeah, we do everything from shooting, editing, storyboarding, scripting, directing, sound design, music composition. We're a full service production company, and we have commercial clients around the country, and then we also have entertainment clients around the country. So it's something we really enjoy doing.
Mark, you had a movie that you were the executive producer, and along with certainly the Garage Creative, that was in 2019, that starred Helen Hunt. Can you talk a little bit about that movie? And was that also a movie that was locally produced in the Cleveland area?
Oh yeah, for sure. That was definitely locally produced. A lot of it was shot up in the the west side over on the lake there was a house that was kind of rented out that ended up being the set for that film. And then we worked with another Cleveland-based production company called Zodiac Features, who put that together. We did a lot of the visual effects in-house. I think that particular film had 190 different visual effect shots that we had to do. But it was also really cool because, again, it was all Cleveland. There was a bunch of different scenes within that film. And everywhere you look, it's got Cleveland in it. Another part of that film was shot in Chagrin Falls, because again, that story took place in kind of a small town, and the folks putting it together wanted to do Chagrin Falls, and so ended up shooting there. And it's kind of fun to see all these things come together in this area.
Sure. So these movies, these are not, I'm not letting the cat out of the bag here. This is not Spider-Man Homecoming or something like that. These are a little smaller. Where can people go to find and view some of these films, like the Peyton Hillis film or the Helen Hunt film, or some of the others that you've done?
Yeah. So, you bring up a good point, because there's definitely, two, kind of markets when you think about films. I mean, you think about these big studio films, and then you think about, like the independent side of film. And we're definitely on the independent side, which is something I really enjoy. I think it's kind of like the difference between, like big business, medium business, and small business. That's kind of how we operate, more like a medium to small business, as opposed to, like a bigger business, like a Coca-Cola. That's not kind of like what we are. So, these films kind of get regardless of where they're coming from. I think what is really fascinating with today's market is they still go to the same places at the end. Like there's theaters that they go to, but not too many films are going to theaters, and all of them are going to streaming services. So regardless of whether it's a big, like $30 million movie, or like a smaller one like ours, it's still going to Apple TV and Amazon and Google Play and Vudu and some of those streamers, which is where the movies that we're talking about today, both The Hunting and the other one, that's where they're at right now. And you can go stream them, rent them, buy them, and all those major streamers.
Well, that is just so neat, Mark. That's just that's got to tell you where technology is now. So my question for you, I'm not looking for secrets or anything like that, but do you have another project on the horizon that we'll hear about pretty soon?
Yeah. This is a funny business where, like you go so long with not being allowed to talk about anything, and then, you flip the switch, and then all you can do is talk about it, and you have to let everybody know. And so, right now, in terms of, when we're talking about The Hunting, we're in that phase where, it was just released. And so it's got the okay to talk about it as much as you possibly can. And then some of the other ones that we're working on, I can't say too much, but, there are a few coming out this year. Actually, later in the year, one of them is a feature-length documentary. Again, a total Cleveland story. We'll be making some announcements about that one later in the year.
Very interesting. So a lot of Cleveland. Is that, how much of your work is either based in or based on something involving Cleveland versus not?
I would say the majority of it is around Cleveland. And to be honest with you guys, that's kind of a choice. Like we, kind of choose to live here. We choose to call this home, and we want to, work here as well. And so, everything that we do, we try to, in some way or other, either tie it back to Cleveland or, do it from within. And that's something that we really enjoy doing. There are opportunities for work, and I'm not going to say we don't do, like jobs that come from out of town, or films that come from out of town. We still do those, but our passion is really, the stuff that is homegrown.
Excellent. Well, very good and interesting information. If folks want to learn more about Garage Creative Studios, or maybe they have a project that they might be interested in using your services, what's the website? What's the best way to start that process?
Yeah, absolutely. Just give us a call or an email. Our website is garagecreative.com. And on there is all the email addresses and contact information. People can reach out to me and ask for me directly, and happy to help, or talk through projects, or just, kind of just talk about things in general when it comes to the entertainment industry and production industry. It's what we're really passionate about. And then, yeah, the movie, you can check out the movie again on Apple TV and Amazon, Vudu, Google Play, Redbox. And if you just search The Hunting and you look for Peyton Hillis, you'll find it. And you can rent it and buy it and enjoy it.
Awesome. Well, we really appreciate your time, Mark. Best of luck, and thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you guys. Like I said, this was a lot of fun, and I definitely appreciate what you're doing and having me on.
Ken, some good news here. A very special birth happened last week at a unique time. Judah Grace Speaker was born at Alamance Regional Medical Center in North Carolina. Time of the birth, 2:22 a.m. on Tuesday, 2/22/22, February 22nd of 2022. You want to guess what room she was born in?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe somewhere with 2.
2. She was born in room 2. How about that? Now, Mom Aberly is a Hodgkin's lymphoma survivor, and the necessary cancer treatments she went through made pregnancy unlikely, but obviously successful in this case. No word if the baby's weight included the number 2.
That's amazing. Absolutely amazing. Wow. It's almost
I
like
think-
winning the lottery right there.
So we got 222 on 2/22/22 in room 2, and it all happened on Tuesday.
Ted, the last 2 weeks, once again, as you know, one of the best things I'm good at. Let's see if you can answer this. What's one of the best things I'm good at?
Drinking.
What else?
Eating.
There you go. So I thought if you're so good at something, you might as well continue to do it. I did a lot of eating and drinking these last 2 weeks. I was trying to lose weight for my wedding that's coming up in May, but I decided to go the opposite. I'm going to see how big I can get by pictures. So
Does
and I like
does-
to basically
does
tell you
any-
all the different places I went to, just so you know I'm not making it up, that I really did a lot of eating and drinking.
Does Eowyn know your plan to supersize?
Well, I think she could figure it out just
Yeah,
looking
okay.
at my size. I mean,
Okay.
I'm not looking like Tom Cruise. I'm looking more like Chris Farley.
Okay.
So there we go. God rest his soul. All right. This is how the 2 weeks went. So met a very good friend that I've not seen in a long time. And we went to Pounders. That's right. The name of the bar is called Pounders in Parma, which I highly recommend. They have really good wings. And just like many other places, short staff, they had 2 people there. I don't know their names. They ran around and took care of the entire restaurant and bar on their own. And this place was packed. They had a trivia night and all that stuff. So obviously I was tipping them a lot. So I highly recommend that. We've talked about Noble Beast. I went there again. We've talked about the Buckeye Beer Engine. I went there again. There's a new place that I've not mentioned that is very, very good. A place called Immigrant Sun. This is a new brewery in Lakewood. 2 or 3 different people are involved. They're actually starting to distribute their beer in the local area. Really good food. And obviously, great drinks. That's what I like. I went to Woodstock Barbecue. That's excellent. A place that you're very familiar with, Ted, in the Westlake area. You grew up there. Don Ramon's, a great Mexican place that I went there with Eowyn. It was very, very good. Another place close to that you should be familiar with, the place called Tommy's. We actually played skee ball there, Eowyn and I. When's the last time you played skee ball? Not with your kids, by yourself. When's the last time you've done that?
It's been a little while.
So we played skee ball, I must say. as many people know. You get 10 balls. I was pretty proud of myself. One of the games I had a score of 310. Yes. Thank you very much. I got it done. After that, we decided to go to the patio. By the way, this is all not on the same day. Okay. Just so people don't message in and say, wow, this guy's got a huge issue. You shouldn't be doing all this drinking. This was not on the same. This is all spread out throughout 2 weeks. Okay?
2 weeks. Okay.
Went to a place called the Patio in Lakewood. Have you been there?
Is that near around the corner?
No, not really. This is on Madison.
Okay, then I'm not familiar with it.
I will say it is a cool place. There's no food there, but everyone there is super nice. And the drinks, I'm going to be honest with you, they're cheap. We ended up, what do we have? I think maybe a total of 5 drinks over a few hours, and our bill was $20.
Oh,
So
boy.
there you go. Yeah, that's a place to check out. I made the trip south as well, Ted. I made it to Medina. I know one of your favorite places. I went to 111 Bistro, actually with somebody on our podcast, Brian Forgosh, who's still receiving positive pressure in his face for his CPAP machine. Spent time with him and his wife. And I went to 111 Bistro, and then we went to On Tap, which is also very nice. Both those places were great. And then I think I end up at this place. It's got to be once or twice a week. They just did renovations. The beer is great. And now they've just added food. Sibling Revelry in Westlake, another place you should check out. I've taken you there, actually. You've been there before.
Yes, yes, I have.
Completely different, by the way. They opened it up, and the inside is, before there was kind of limited tables. Now there's tables all over, and there's a back room area, many TVs, and the food's great. Great wings, pizza, all that stuff. So Ted, there's other places as well, but I think we'll just leave it at that. So people don't think I'm a complete alcoholic, and that, certainly I do work and all that. So we'll just leave it at that. But
Okay.
that's how much I've been out and about in the last 2 weeks. And I think we're going to have to start getting out and about together so we can talk about these places together. It's just not the same without them.
I like that. We'll have to work on that. Yeah.
All right, another This Week in Cleveland History. And of course, that means we are with the ever famous John Grabowski. And John, here's a very interesting item. Something that I didn't know until I did some research. Cleveland had the first electric light. Is that correct?
It all depends on how you define it. And we can go through that. So, one of the stories that I believe is 1914, there is an electric traffic signal that has been installed at 105th and Euclid. Now, let's go to the reason for why you needed a traffic signal. Essentially, in the 19th century, when Cleveland was a smaller city, traffic was sort of self-directed, horse and wagons. But then you add to that electric streetcars, and by the 1910s, a larger number of automobiles. And you've got these major intersections, and 105th and Euclid is a major intersection. And so you have to have some way of governing it. And initially, it was just policemen going out there holding their hands up or whatever else. But what they did at 105th and Euclid is they put in basically a signal, an electric signal at each of the 4 corners. And it simply had a bell and a red and a green light. And there was a policeman there to control it. So yes, it is an electric traffic signal, and it's manually controlled, but it misses something major. Now, later on, in 1916, they erect a traffic tower in the center of the intersection of East 9th Street and Euclid, very busy intersection. And so there's a policeman sitting up in this tower, and he's actually, pushing the buttons for the signals that go on and off. And we've had, I think, several other towers that were built at this time. Now, the other thing that you're seeing too is as traffic builds, more and more of the Cleveland police force is being designated as traffic police. They're going out to govern traffic and eventually to ticket cars and speeders. So the automobile changes the police force, but that's another story. One of the problems with the towers is they continually got hit by traffic. There was an issue there. A little bit later, one of the most noted inventors from Cleveland, an African-American, Garrett Morgan, comes up with a better idea. And it's a semaphore style signal. And I think this one is also out at East 105th and Euclid. And what it has is it has a middle arm that comes down that's yellow. It's the caution signal. And so that's where Morgan really breaks ground, because you have to imagine you're driving and 1 minute the light is red and the next minute, it's green and the next minute is red. It's a sudden stop. So that caution signal begins to control traffic better. Now, to be a real spoil sport, supposedly the first four-sided modern traffic signal, the one with three lights that hangs in the middle, Detroit, 1920. It's on display at the Henry Ford Museum.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
So, and there's another story here, Ken, and
sure.
a lot of these signals reflect on something else that was going on long before this: railroads. And railroads used light position signals and semaphores for many years. So there is, I would argue, a little bit of borrowing going on from the railroad industry at this time.
Sure. Well, how does it come to be that of all the places in the country, Cleveland's the first place that tries this, or is it just a matter of the gentleman who came up with the idea of moving it to traffic was in Cleveland? How did that happen?
I don't know, because I was looking at this, online a little bit ago, and there are a lot of cities that claim traffic signals at the same time. And they're all having, bigger cities are having issues. Certainly Detroit, New York, I haven't looked into, but New York has, huge amount of traffic, even horse-drawn. And again, you're looking also at electric streetcars coming down. It's a bit crazy out there.
John, really interesting information. Well, I guess it's up for debate on who exactly came up with the first electric traffic signal. We'll have to have that debate. But you know what? For our show, I will just make it Cleveland. How do you sound?
Yep.
How does that sound, guys? Does that work?
I'm okay with Cleveland if we just say not the contemporary modern traffic signal, but the first electric traffic signal.
There we
Fair.
go.
That works.
Manually controlled.
That works. Well, John, thanks for your time as always. Really appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thanks, Ken.
The most trusted name in journalism, Klopp's Clips.
Here we go, Ken. Time for the news you've probably missed. Here it is. A man in a Boston transit station was apparently stabbed for refusing to flush a toilet.
Oh, my.
Hector Avededo is accused of the stabbing. He apparently told the victim, who was still in a stall at the time, he told him he needed to flush the toilet. The victim apparently told Avededo to mind his own business. It was a surprise. They argued more, and when the victim left the bathroom, things turned physical. That is apparently when the stabbing took place. So flush that toilet.
All right, I have a story. I was going to talk about this. This is from out and about. I'm not going to mention where this happened.
Okay.
Having a drink, decided to use the restroom. I go in the restroom. The gentleman is in there looking at his phone. How do I say this? Watching an adult video at the station.
Sure he was.
How do I know this? The sound was on. The sound was on. Yep. Well, when I walked in, he left.
He left?
He left.
I see.
That was probably the oddest situation that's occurred in a while. I'm not gonna say where this happened.
Okay.
It's not this place's fault, but that was part of my out and about, and yeah, this story reminded me of that.
Okay, well, that's interesting. Appreciate that. A truck driver accused of trying to smuggle meth hidden in a shipment of onions. Investigators made this discovery of nearly $3 million worth of meth at a federal facility in San Diego. Officers say almost 1,200 packages of meth were disguised in small globes with white coverings. The total amount of meth was more than 1,336 pounds.
Wow. My gosh.
A lot of meth.
That's crazy.
The director of external affairs for the Georgia Vocational Rehabilitation Agency. She's accused of faking multiple pregnancies to get paid leave from her job. Robin Folsom has apparently created a fake father for the baby and shared pictures of an infant she claimed was hers. The problem was that the children in the pictures had varying skin tones, and while claiming to be pregnant, a coworker noticed that the lower part of Folsom's stomach appeared to be detached from her body.
What?
She apparently wore a fake baby bump to try to get the 15 grand in paid leave.
Come on, man. Oh, boy. Okay.
And finally, a 46-year-old man is under arrest in Las Vegas he's accused of threatening to blow up the Strat Hotel and Casino. Police spotted him wandering outside the casino, where he told the officer he had a grenade in his backside and he wanted to fart.
What?
He told the officer he had a grenade in his backside and he wanted to fart.
Oh, man.
That's a set of words I never thought I'd hear in that order.
No, that's unexpected.
Brian Gower also apparently told security they had 15 minutes to evacuate the building before it exploded. He now faces multiple charges.
Okay, here's the last question. Was he drunk, high, or both?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
And that's this week's collection of Klopp's Clips.
Cleveland! This is for you!
Ready for another This Week in Cleveland Sports? Our Cleveland sports expert, Dusty Sloan, is here and ready to chat up some sports topics. And our topic this week comes from February 26, 1946. Bingo Smith, Bobby Bingo Smith, a star with our Cleveland Cavaliers, was born on this date back in 1946 in Memphis, Tennessee. Dusty, tell us about Bingo Smith, one of the all-time greats.
Yeah, absolutely. Bingo Smith kind of gets lost in the shuffle a little bit in Cavs history. Doesn't have the really big numbers like an Austin Carr or obviously LeBron and them after that. But the intriguing thing about Bingo Smith is his consistency. Once he got to Cleveland in that expansion year in 70-71, and you look in his scoring charts, it's 15 points, 15 points, 15 points, 16 points every single year. He was a very dependable player. He was always on the floor, 81, 82 games every single year. And the interesting thing about him is the Cavs got him from the San Diego Rockets in 1969 and 70. And then he finished his career exactly 10 years later playing for the San Diego Clippers. So apparently he wanted to play in San Diego just as much as he wanted to play in Cleveland.
That's wild. And you got to remember too, Dusty, and please remind me, the advent of the three-point shot was not necessarily in play when he started playing for certainly in the Cavs and I think later in his career. Is that correct?
That is correct. The only time that the NBA or the three-point shot was his last year when he split between Cleveland and the San Diego Clippers. So yeah, he was scoring his points. He had a career total of 12.6 points per game. And he did all that without the three-point line.
Yeah, that to me is just impressive because it's just such a different game then. I mean, it was more of a post game and all that. So get somebody like that. And he was more of, I would say, small forward, off guard, or whatever you want to call it. I mean, that guy was scoring his points, short, mid-range jumpers, things like that. One other question I have for you, Dusty, on Bingo Smith. You think about some of the top Cavs, and obviously yourself and Ted and I are, we're not young anymore, as I tell myself all the time, but we remember
That's the title
days
of the podcast, yes.
Mark Price and Brad Doherty and Larry Nance and those guys. And Bingo Smith, he was a little bit before our time, really, with the likes of, certainly Austin Carr and Nate Thurman. But a lot of those guys, if you think about it, their success, and I'll just use Bingo as an example, they really set the tone for great play for the Cavaliers and kind of set the tone of, being superstars, right?
Absolutely. There's no question about that. When you talk about the love affair that this city has with the Cavaliers, and it extends today with how much fun this young team is right now, you talk about that group that's Jim Jones and Austin Carr and Bingo Smith. And then you go into World Be Free in the 80s when the teams weren't that great. But that was the bridge then to those Doherty, Nance, Price years that really allowed basketball fans in the Cleveland area in the late 80s and early 90s to really embrace this team. And then obviously it transferred on to the LeBron years. And now what we hope is going to be a really good young team for a long time.
Bingo Smith, a big part of the miracle of Richfield.
Absolutely. I mean, you talk about those mid-70s teams and people say, well, why in the world are you putting a team and a Coliseum out in Richfield? It's not even in Cleveland. Well, you needed guys like Bingo Smith to play so well to draw those people to the team and out to Richfield. So he was an absolute big part of that.
Oh, no doubt.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
All right, Dusty. Well, thanks for the insight as we talk about the great Bingo Smith, a Cavalier legend and a great part of Cleveland sports history. Thanks, Dusty.
Thanks, guys.
Cleveland! This is for you!
Ted, overachiever segment. You didn't make it again.
Darn it.
But this week, I guess to make up, because it's not you, we have 3 of them. That's right, 3. The first is the world's largest strawberry. Oh, for God's sakes. Who comes up with this stuff? It was picked a year ago, but Guinness just made the official announcement. The berry was picked in Israel and weighed 10.19 ounces, which is more than half a pound. Does anybody eat these things? I think they'd be afraid to, because you would never pass a drug test because of the steroids involved. That's
probably.
What do you got?
Well, an Iraqi man is now co-holder of a world record. Ibrahim Sadiq balanced 18 eggs on the back of his hand, thus equaling the current world record. He had to keep the eggs in place for at least 5 seconds to tie this record. Sadiq says he practiced 4 days a week to prepare for this monumental attempt.
18 eggs. What's with all the eggs?
I don't know. We had
2 weeks ago, there was a guy that had 4 eggs or
yeah,
something like that, or 3 or whatever.
Yeah,
oh man,
I don't know. Got nothing.
Well, I got one more. The most interesting record for this week comes from Nova Scotia.
Oh,
yeah, where a teen set a Guinness World Record by solving 211 Rubik's cubes while while bouncing on a pogo stick. Let's go over that one more time. He solved 211 Rubik's cubes while bouncing on a pogo stick.
Yeah.
I don't know how you come up with this, but he did it. Saul Hafting says he spent about 3 months training before his record attempt. My gosh.
I heard that the Cavs are bringing him in and they're going to have him perform at halftime along with the woman that twirls the plates.
Oh, that's a good call.
I heard that's what they're going to do. So
unbelievable.
Oh my word. Well, wow. those are some overachievers.
Oh no, not a dad joke.
Why do you never see elephants hiding in trees?
Well, I'm not sure.
Well, because they're so good at it.
That joke was horrible.
Ken, coming to the end of episode number 83. And please do not put anything in your backside while you're near a casino going forward.
No, that My gosh.
Yeah.
The world is interesting, and we'll never stop having these stories.
Never.
You will have
Never.
Klopp's clips from here until the day we die. That's
pretty much it. Pretty much it. Well, we learned about the new movie starring Peyton Hillis that's locally produced. We learned about the first traffic light in Cleveland. And we learned about BINGO, Bingo Smith was his name-o. All of that
That's
and
pretty-
a lot more this week.
That was some great Cleveland stuff, and that's obviously one thing we're trying to push for a lot of our listeners. We've heard some feedback from people. And thank you so much, by the way, to everyone that follows us on Instagram, Ted. I don't know if you believe we're over 1,800 people now. So
Wow.
that's pretty good. Yeah.
I guess
know
I'll have
you-
to sign on to Instagram at some point.
Well, you have a profile. You're tagged on there.
I do.
Yeah, you better check that.
Yeah,
So-
I'll check it out.
Well,
Well,
did
hey,
you
next-
ever think? Did you ever think we'd have a conversation with somebody? And Mark was a phenomenal, by the way, Mark Hamer. Did you ever think that Peyton Hillis would be doing a movie? I mean,
No.
I never envisioned that. I think that's really cool.
I just I kind of always wondered, where did he wind up? He had a great year with the Browns, then he suffered the Madden curse, I think.
Yeah, I think you're right.
He
Yeah.
was on the cover, and for whatever reason, he never saw the same statistical success. But yeah.
Yeah.
Well, here from the home of rock and roll next week, we're going to talk about not next week, 2 weeks from now. We're going to talk about maybe the greatest guitarist of all time, Eddie Van Halen. Author Paul Brannigan is going to join us. He's written the biography of Eddie Van Halen called Unchained. And I'm looking forward to hearing what all he has to say, because so many stories out there about the Van Halens and that band. And, they keep things pretty tight-lipped. So it'll be interesting to hear what he was able to find out.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to hearing from Paul and obviously reading the book. And I was always a Van Halen fan, and you got two sides. You have the side that, kind of went with the David Lee Roth era, and then you have the side that's, with Sammy Hagar and all that. I enjoyed both. So I'm interested to learn more about Eddie. And I mean, what a talent. I mean, Van Halen's in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, not far from where we broadcast this podcast. And it's pretty cool, all the different things he was involved. I know at one point in time, and I don't know if you knew this or not, he worked with Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
On a bunch of different projects. So a very talented man, and considered by many, maybe one of the greatest guitarists ever. He just practiced and played all the time. So yeah, I think it's I look forward to talking with Paul. It seems like he's going to have some great insight, and I look forward to his book.
Well, we'll see if you and I can't go out and about somewhere between now and 2 weeks from now. And
I'll try. I mean, I don't
Come up
know.
with a
I
story
got
or two.
2 weeks to do it. We'll see. I mean, I did decent this time, considering this is embarrassing. There's 12 places on here. Holy crap. I got to slow it down, man.
That's almost one a day.
I got to wear a suit for some time in May. And I'll be honest with you. If I keep going this route, I'm gonna be wearing a shower curtain on that altar. That's what you'll see.
Just I'm sure there's a tent maker that can help you.
Yeah. Yep. Was it Geppetto? Wasn't he a tent maker?
I'm not sure what he was. He was a woodworker, I thought.
Well, Ted, the time has come. I don't really have anything else. I don't really have any other questions.
Oh.
We're just two middle-aged men in Cleveland.
Two Middle-Aged Men in Cleveland is sponsored by Westminster AV, custom audio-visual packages for all occasions.